In the outer reaches of the galaxy, the SS Resolute drifted through the vast emptiness, its hull painted a dull gray reflecting the distant light of stars that twinkled like scattered diamonds against the black canvas of space. The ship was a relic from a bygone era, a cargo vessel that had seen better days, but it was sturdy built to withstand the harshness of interstellar travel and the unpredictable nature of trade routes. As the Resolute approached the vibrant trading hub, known as Zilfar Prime, the crew gathered on the bridge excitement. Mingling with trepidation, the captain, a grizzled veteran named Captain Harris, stood at the helm, his eyes scanning the array of sleek alien vessels that glided effortlessly through the docking bays. The Zilfar ships were a sight to behold, their elegant designs and advanced technology, a stark contrast to the Resolute's bulky form. "Look at that thing," one of the Zilfar crew members exclaimed, pointing at the Resolute with a smirk. "It looks like a space whale trying to fit into a school of fish." The laughter echoed through the Zilfar ship as they mocked the human vessel, unaware of the determination brewing within the Resolute's crew. Captain Harris clenched his jaw, but chose to remain silent. He had faced ridicule before, but this time it felt different. The Zilfar were known for their arrogance and superiority complex, and their mockery struck a nerve in the hearts of his crew. They were proud humans who had navigated the stars and built a reputation through hard work and resilience. As the Resolute docked, the crew began to unload their cargo crates, filled with goods destined for trade on Zilfar Prime. The bustling marketplace awaited them, filled with vibrant colors and exotic scents that wafted through the air like a tantalizing promise of adventure. But before they could step foot on the planet's surface, the Zilfar had other plans. A group of Zilfar traders approached the Resolute with grins plastered on their faces, clearly enjoying the spectacle of the clumsy human ship. They began to orchestrate a series of petty pranks, tossing small objects at the crew and making exaggerated gestures as if to illustrate the ship's supposed incompetence. "What a shame," the Zilfar captain taunted over the comms. "You humans think you can compete with us. In the stars, you should stick to your little planets where you belong." The laughter continued to echo through the docking bay, and Captain Harris felt a fire igniting within him. His crew exchanged glances filled with a mix of anger and determination. They were not going to let these aliens belittle them, not today. This was their moment to show the galaxy that the Resolute was more than just a clumsy cargo ship. It was a testament to human ingenuity and spirit. As the crew finished unloading, Captain Harris gathered them around the Zilfar. "May think they can intimidate us, but we have something they don't. We have heart, and we have each other. We may be outnumbered and outmatched in technology, but we will not back down. We will show them what it means to be human." With newfound resolve, the crew of the Resolute prepared to face the Zilfar, not just as a cargo ship, but as a symbol of their resilience and determination. They would turn the tide of mockery into a battle of pride and courage in the vastness of space. As the sun dipped below the horizon of Zilfar Prime, casting an orange glow over the bustling marketplace, the atmosphere buzzed with excitement and tension. The Zilfar traders continued their taunts, echoing through the air like a relentless chorus of derision. Captain Harris stood on the bridge of the Resolute, staring out at the vibrant world below, his heart pounding with indignation. The Zilfar ships hovered gracefully around the docking bays, their sleek forms glinting in the fading light, while the Resolute sat heavy and grounded like a stubborn rock in a stream. The mocking laughter of the Zilfar crew filled the air as they pointed and jeered at the human ship. It was a spectacle that made the crew of the Resolute bristle with anger. "Look at them," one of the crew members spat. "They think they're so superior just because they have fancy ships and technology. But we've survived in the harshest conditions. We fought battles and made sacrifices. We can't let them get away with this." Captain Harris nodded, feeling the weight of his crew's frustration. He knew they were right, but he also knew that responding with anger would only play into the Zilfar's hands. They thrived on chaos and conflict, and he refused to give them the satisfaction of seeing his crew crumble under their taunts. Instead, he turned to his crew with a steely determination. "We may not have their technology, but we have something they don't. We have heart, and we have each other. We've faced challenges before, and we've come out stronger. Let's show them that the SS Resolute is more than just a ship, it's a testament to human spirit. The crew rallied around their captain, their spirits lifted by his words. They began to devise a plan, not just to defend their honor, but to turn the tables on their tormentors. They would show the Zilfar that they were not to be underestimated. As night fell, the marketplace came alive with lights and sounds. The Zilfar celebrated their perceived victory with extravagant displays of fireworks and entertainment. The Resolute crew watched from a distance, their resolve hardening with every mocking cheer that echoed through the air. Then an idea sparked in the mind of one of the younger crew members, a quick thinker named Ellie. What if we challenged them to a mock battle? She suggested, a grin spreading across her face. We could use their own arrogance against them. They think we're clumsy and weak, but we can surprise them. Captain Harris's eyes lit up with the possibilities. Yes, he said with a nod, that's exactly what we'll do. We'll challenge them to a competition in the asteroid field nearby. We'll show them that we can maneuver just as well as they can, and maybe even better. The crew erupted in cheers, their spirits soaring as they prepared for the challenge. They knew the asteroid field was treacherous, but it would also provide the perfect setting to showcase their skills. They began working tirelessly to prepare the Resolute for the mock battle, making adjustments and strategizing their approach. With a renewed sense of purpose, the crew of the Resolute set their sights on the Zilfar. They would not only defend their honor, but also teach their arrogant adversaries a lesson in humility. They would navigate the asteroid field with precision and determination, proving that even a seemingly clumsy giant could rise to the occasion and stand tall against the odds. As the crew gathered for their final preparations, Captain Harris stood at the helm, looking out into the starry expanse ahead. With the asteroid field looming in the distance, he felt a surge of confidence. They were ready to show the galaxy that the SS Resolute was more than just a ship. It was a symbol of resilience and courage in the face of adversity. As dawn broke over Zilfar Prime, the crew of the SS Resolute gathered on the bridge, their faces illuminated by the soft glow of the control panels. The atmosphere was electric with anticipation and determination. Today was the day they would confront the Zilfar on their own turf in the treacherous asteroid field that lay just beyond the planet's orbit. Captain Harris stood at the helm, his heart racing with a mix of excitement and nerves. The crew had spent the night fine-tuning their strategy and preparing the ship for the mock battle. They had transformed the Resolute from a mere cargo vessel into a formidable contender ready to take on the sleek Zilfar ships. As they approached the asteroid field, the view outside the viewport shifted from a colorful planet to a chaotic expanse of floating rocks and debris. The asteroids varied in size, some as small as pebbles, while others loomed large like mountains in space. This was a place where skill and precision would be tested to the limit. Captain Harris activated the ship's comm system and addressed his crew. All right, everyone, this is it. We know the Zilfar think they have the upper hand, but we've trained for this moment. We'll use the asteroids to our advantage and maneuver with the grace they underestimate. Let's show them what we're made of. The crew responded with a chorus of affirmations, their spirits high as they prepared for the challenge ahead. The Zilfar had already gathered at the edge of the asteroid field, their ships gleaming in the sunlight like predatory birds ready to swoop down on their prey. As the Resolute entered the asteroid field, the Zilfar captain's voice crackled over the comms, mocking them once again. You truly believe you can compete with us in our own domain? How quaint. Prepare to be humiliated. Captain Harris clenched his fists, but remained focused. He knew that the Zilfar were underestimating them, and that was exactly what they needed to exploit. With a swift command, he directed the crew to engage their navigation systems and prepare for evasive maneuvers. The first few moments were chaotic as the Resolute navigated through the dense field of asteroids. The crew worked in perfect harmony, their movements fluid as they dodged and weaved between the floating rocks. The ship groaned under the pressure, but it held strong as Captain Harris called out instructions with precision. Now veer left, he shouted as a massive asteroid loomed ahead. The crew responded, instantly adjusting their course with practiced ease. The Resolute swerved just in time, narrowly avoiding a collision. The Zilfar ships followed closely behind, but their sleek designs struggled to match the bulk of the Resolute in the unpredictable terrain. As the battle unfolded, the crew began to realize that their strategy was working. The Zilthar ships were built for speed, but they lacked the maneuverability required to navigate the dense asteroid field. The humans had the advantage of experience and creativity forged through years of survival in the harshest corners of space. One of the Zilthar ships attempted to flank them, but Captain Harris anticipated the move. He ordered the crew to execute a sudden turn and dive into a narrow gap between two massive asteroids. The Zilthar ship followed but miscalculated its approach and collided with the rock, sending debris scattering into the void. The crew of the Resolute erupted in cheers as they witnessed their first victory. The Zilthar captain's voice crackled over the comms, filled with frustration. "You may have gotten lucky this time, but we will not be defeated so easily." But the humans were undeterred. They continued to maneuver through the asteroid field with newfound confidence. Each successful dodge and turn fueled their determination. They were no longer just a clumsy giant. They were a force to be reckoned with, a testament to human ingenuity and resilience. As the battle raged on, Captain Harris felt a surge of pride for his crew. They had transformed from a group of mock cargo haulers into skilled navigators and strategists. They were proving that even in the face of adversity they could rise above and show the galaxy what they were truly capable of. The asteroid field became a chaotic dance of strategy and skill. As the crew of the SS Resolute continued to outmaneuver their Zilthar adversaries, the ship's hull shook with each sharp turn and sudden acceleration, but the crew remained focused, their camaraderie shining through the tense atmosphere. Captain Harris called out commands with a steady voice, guiding them through the treacherous terrain. With each passing moment, the Zilthar ships struggled to keep up. Their sleek designs were built for open space, not the tight confines of the asteroid field. The Resolute's bulkiness became an asset as the crew expertly navigated the obstacles, using the asteroids as shields and barriers against their foes. Captain Harris could see the frustration mounting among the Zilthar crew. Their earlier arrogance was being replaced by confusion and anger as they realized that they were being outsmarted by what they had deemed an inferior vessel. Harris felt a surge of satisfaction, but he knew they had to stay vigilant. As they rounded a particularly large asteroid, Captain Harris plotted an opening in the field that led to a cluster of smaller asteroids. He decided to take a risk. "All right, everyone, we're going to push through that cluster," he announced. "We'll use the cover to regroup and launch a surprise counterattack." The crew nodded their understanding and braced themselves for the maneuver. The Resolute surged forward, weaving between the smaller asteroids with surprising agility. The Zilthar ships followed closely behind, but their confidence began to wane as they struggled to navigate the tight spaces. Just as they reached the center of the cluster, Captain Harris ordered a sudden halt. The crew quickly adjusted their positions and prepared for the next phase of their plan. As the Zilthar ships barreled into the cluster, they were met with a barrage of fire from the Resolute's weaponry. The crew had set up a defensive perimeter and were ready to strike. The Zilthar captain's voice erupted over the comms, filled with disbelief. "You think you can defeat us with cheap tricks? You are nothing but a blip in the cosmos." But the crew of the Resolute didn't falter. They unleashed a coordinated attack, firing their weapons with precision and timing. The Zilthar ships began to falter, their formations breaking apart as they tried to evade the onslaught. Captain Harris could see the tide turning. The Zilthar were no longer a cohesive unit, but a scattering of ships desperately trying to escape the Resolute's fire. The crew cheered as they watched one of the Zilthar vessels take a direct hit, spinning out of control and colliding with an asteroid. With renewed energy, the crew pressed their advantage. Captain Harris called out for a full assault. "Let's finish this," he urged. "We've come too far to back down now." The crew responded with enthusiasm, channeling their anger and determination into every shot they fired. The Resolute surged forward, its bulk cutting through the asteroid field as it pursued the remaining Zilthar ships. The once arrogant traders were now on the defensive, scrambling to regroup. As the battle continued, the Zilthar captain's voice grew more frantic. "We will not be defeated by mere humans. You will regret this day." But the crew of the Resolute had already made their mark. They were no longer the underdogs. They were a formidable force, and they had proven that they could stand toe-to-toe with the Zilthar in their own arena. With one final maneuver, Captain Harris ordered the crew to flank the remaining Zilfar ships. They emerged from the cluster of asteroids with a renewed sense of purpose and determination. The Zilfar had nowhere to run, and as the Resolute unleashed its final volley, the remaining ships were forced to surrender. Cheers erupted on the bridge as the crew celebrated their hard-fought victory. They had turned the tide of mockery into a triumph of resilience and teamwork. Captain Harris felt a swell of pride as he looked at his crew. They had shown the galaxy that the SS Resolute was not just a cargo vessel, but a symbol of human spirit and ingenuity. As the dust settled in the asteroid field, the Zilfar captain's voice came over the comms once more, this time laced with grudging respect. "You have proven yourselves worthy today. Humans, we will not forget this." Captain Harris smiled, knowing that they had not only defended their honor, but had also forged a new respect in the cosmos. They were no longer just a blip in the galaxy. They were a force to be reckoned with, and they would continue to navigate the stars with pride and determination. As the echoes of victory reverberated through the bridge of the SS Resolute, Captain Harris took a moment to absorb the magnitude of what they had accomplished. The crew was still buzzing with excitement, their laughter and cheers filling the air as they celebrated their hard-fought triumph over the Zilfar. Harris turned to his first officer, Lieutenant Mira Chen, who stood at his side, her eyes sparkling with pride. "It's remarkable what we've done today," he said, a hint of disbelief in his voice. "We've shown them that we're not to be underestimated." Mira nodded, her expression serious but proud. "It's not just about winning the battle, Captain. It's about what it represents. We've proven that we can adapt and overcome even in the most challenging situations." The comms crackled to life, and the Zilfar captain's voice came through once more, this time tinged with a mix of respect and resignation. "Humans, you have earned my respect. I will relay this message to my superiors. We will withdraw from this area, but know that this is not the end." Harris felt a surge of triumph at the acknowledgement, but he also understood the weight of the Zilfar's words. They had made a powerful enemy, but they had also forged a path towards a new understanding. The galaxy was vast and unpredictable, and the Resolute's crew would need to be prepared for whatever lay ahead. As the Zilfar ships began to retreat, the crew of the Resolute continued to celebrate their victory. The atmosphere on the bridge was electric with camaraderie and relief. They had faced down an arrogant foe and emerged victorious, but Harris knew that this was just one battle in a much larger war. "All right, everyone," he called out, raising his voice to be heard over the din. "Let's take a moment to appreciate what we've accomplished, but let's also remember that we need to stay vigilant. The Zilfar won't forget this easily, and neither should we." The crew quieted down their expressions, shifting from jubilation to determination. Harris continued, "We need to assess any damage to the ship and prepare for potential retaliation. We've shown our strength today, but we must remain united and ready for whatever comes next." As the crew sprang into action, Harris felt a swell of pride for his team. They were more than just a crew. They were a family forged in the fires of adversity, and now they were stronger than ever. After a thorough assessment of the ship, it became clear that while the Resolute had sustained some damage, it was nothing they couldn't handle. The crew worked diligently to make repairs and reinforce their defenses, while also analyzing the Zilfar's tactics and strategies. In the days that followed, the crew remained on high alert. They knew that the Zilfar would likely regroup and plan their next move. The Resolute continued to patrol the asteroid field, ready to defend their territory and their newfound reputation. One evening, as the stars twinkled outside the viewport, Captain Harris gathered his crew in the common area for a debriefing. He wanted to ensure that everyone understood the significance of their victory and the challenges that lay ahead. "Listen up, everyone," he began, his voice steady and commanding. "What we achieved in the asteroid field was nothing short of extraordinary. But we must remember that respect is a two-way street. We've made our mark, but we must also be prepared for the consequences of our actions." The crew listened intently as Harris continued, "We've shown that we are capable of defending ourselves and standing up to those who underestimate us, but we must also remain open to dialogue and understanding. We cannot allow anger and pride to cloud our judgment." Mira chimed in, "It's important to remember that not all Zilfar are our enemies. Some may be willing to work with us and find common ground." Harris nodded in agreement. "Exactly, we've proven our worth. But now we must use that as a foundation to build relationships rather than walls." As the crew discussed strategies for future encounters and potential alliances, Harris felt a renewed sense of purpose. They were not just warriors, but ambassadors of humanity. They had the chance to shape their own destiny in the galaxy. The Resolute set a course for a nearby space station known for its neutrality and trade opportunities. They would seek to establish connections with other species and gather intelligence on the Zilfar's movements. As they left the asteroid field behind, Captain Harris looked out at the vastness of space ahead. The stars shimmered like beacons of hope and possibility. He knew that the journey ahead would not be easy, but with his crew by his side, he felt ready to face whatever challenges awaited them. Together, they would navigate the stars, forging their own path in a galaxy filled with uncertainty and adventure. They were the crew of the SS Resolute, and they would not back down from their mission to protect their honor and seek peace in a tumultuous universe. As the SS Resolute glided smoothly through the cosmos, Captain Harris gathered his crew once more to discuss their next steps. The atmosphere in the common area was charged with a mix of excitement and apprehension. They had emerged victorious, but the reality of their situation weighed heavily on their minds. Harris stood at the head of the table, his gaze sweeping over his crew. Their faces reflected determination, but also the understanding that they were now players in a much larger game. "We're heading to the Trillium space station." He began. "The station is a hub for trade and diplomacy. It's our best chance to gather information about the Zilfar and their plans." Mira leaned forward, her brow furrowed. "We need to be careful, Captain. The Zilfar may have allies who won't take kindly to our recent victory. They could be watching our every move." Harris nodded, acknowledging the truth in her words. "You're right. We need to remain vigilant and discreet. Our goal is to gather intelligence and establish connections, not to provoke further conflict." As they discussed their strategy, the crew began to outline their roles for the upcoming visit to Trillium. The ship's communications officer, Jenna, suggested they use coded messages to communicate with potential allies, while the engineering team prepared the Resolute for any unexpected encounters. After a few hours of planning, the crew settled into their routines. As they approached the space station, the Trillium space station loomed ahead, a sprawling structure illuminated by the soft glow of its myriad lights. It was a place where species from all corners of the galaxy converged to trade goods, share knowledge, and negotiate alliances. As the Resolute docked, Harris felt a surge of anticipation. He knew that this was a pivotal moment for his crew. They were stepping into a world filled with possibilities and dangers. Once the ship was secured, the crew disembarked and stepped into the bustling atmosphere of the station. The interior was a vibrant tapestry of cultures and species. Each corner of the station was alive with the sounds of commerce and conversation. Harris led his crew through the throngs of traders and diplomats, keeping his eyes peeled for potential allies. He spotted a group of humans gathered around a holographic display discussing trade routes and the recent skirmish with the Zilfar. He approached them cautiously. "Excuse me," he said, drawing their attention. "I couldn't help but overhear your conversation. We've had our own run-in with the Zilfar and are looking for information." The group turned to him, their expressions shifting from curiosity to interest. One of the men stepped forward, extending a hand. "I'm Marcus. We've been hearing whispers about the Zilfar's movements. They're regrouping and may be planning a larger offensive." Harris felt a chill run down his spine. The Zilfar were not going to let their defeat go unanswered. "Can you tell us more?" he asked, leaning in. Marcus nodded. "We've been tracking their supply routes, and it seems they're gathering resources for a significant operation. They're not just angry, they're mobilizing." Mira exchanged glances with Harris, her expression serious. "We need to get this information back to the ship and warn the others." As they continued to gather intel, Harris felt a sense of urgency building. The Zilfar were not merely a threat to the Resolute, but to the larger community of species that called the galaxy home. After a few hours of discussions and negotiations, the crew of the Resolute had amassed a wealth of information. They learned about potential allies who were also opposed to the Zilfar and discovered routes that could be used to evade their forces. As they prepared to leave the station, Harris felt a sense of hope. He had come to realize that they were not alone in their fight. There were others who shared their values and goals. Back on the Resolute, the crew worked quickly to analyze the information they had collected. They plotted new courses and discussed strategies for fortifying their defenses. Captain Harris gathered everyone on the bridge as they prepared to depart from Trillium. "All right, team," he said, his voice steady. "We've received valuable intel about the Zilfar's movements and their plans. We need to act quickly to protect ourselves and our allies." Mira added, "We need to reach out to those who are willing to stand with us. We can't face this threat alone." Harris nodded. "The galaxy is vast, but together we can make a difference. It's time to forge alliances and prepare for the storm that's coming." With a renewed sense of purpose, the crew of the SS Resolute set their course for the nearest Allied system. They were no longer just a cargo vessel. They were a beacon of hope and resilience in a galaxy fraught with danger. As the stars streaked past the viewport, Harris felt a sense of determination wash over him. They would face the challenges ahead together, as a united front, ready to defend their honor and fight for a future where peace could prevail. The journey was just beginning, but with each passing moment, they were carving their place in the galaxy and proving that even the smallest of crews could stand against the tide of darkness. As the SS Resolute navigated the star-studded expanse, Captain Harris felt the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. The information they had gathered at Trillium was crucial, but he knew that putting it into action would require careful planning and coordination. The crew worked tirelessly to analyze the Zilfar's movements and identify potential allies who could bolster their defenses. Harris had called for an emergency meeting in the common area to discuss their findings and strategize. Once everyone had gathered, he stood before them, his expression serious. "We've learned that the Zilfar are not just regrouping, they're preparing for a large-scale offensive. We need to act quickly to build our alliances and fortify our position." Mira chimed in with a sense of urgency. "We've identified several systems that have also been targeted by the Zilfar. They're vulnerable and could benefit from our support. If we can rally them together, we might stand a chance." Harris nodded encouragingly. "That's a great plan. We need to reach out to these systems and offer our assistance. But we also need to be cautious. The Zilfar will be watching." As the crew broke into smaller groups to tackle different aspects of the plan, Jenna, the communications officer, began drafting messages to the targeted systems, while the engineering team worked on enhancing the ship's defenses. Meanwhile, Harris and Mira prepared to send a delegation to the nearby system of Valter, known for its strategic resources and military capabilities. If they could secure Valter's support, it would significantly bolster their chances against the Zilfar. As they approached Valter's orbit, Harris felt a mix of excitement and anxiety. The planet was bustling with activity, and the Resolute's sensors picked up numerous ships moving in and out of the system. Once they established contact with Valter's governing council, Harris and Mira prepared for a tense negotiation. They knew that convincing the council to ally with them would require more than just words. They needed to demonstrate their resolve and commitment. Upon arrival at the council chamber, they were greeted by a diverse group of representatives from various factions of Valter. The atmosphere was charged with skepticism as they took their seats. Councillor Ilara, the leader of the council, eyed them critically. "What brings you to Valter, humans? We've heard whispers of your recent encounter with the Zilfar." Harris took a deep breath and spoke with conviction. "We come seeking an alliance. We faced the Zilfar and emerged victorious, but we know they are regrouping and preparing for a larger attack. We believe that together we can stand against them." Ilara's gaze narrowed as she considered his words. "You expect us to trust you based on a single victory? The Zilfar have proven to be formidable foes." Mira leaned forward. "We understand your hesitation, but we have gathered intelligence that indicates the Zilfar are targeting multiple systems, including yours. If we don't act now, we risk losing everything." The council members exchanged glances, murmurs of concern rippling through the room. Harris pressed on. "We are not here to impose ourselves. We want to offer our support and resources to help defend against the Zilfar. We believe that unity is our strongest weapon." After a tense silence, Ilara finally spoke. "We will consider your proposal, but know this: we will not ally ourselves with those who cannot prove their worth." Harris felt a surge of determination. "We will prove our worth. We'll provide you with the latest intelligence and share our tactics. We'll demonstrate that we can be valuable allies." The council deliberated for what felt like an eternity before Ilara finally nodded. "Very well. We will allow you to demonstrate your capabilities, but understand that trust is earned, not given." With a tentative agreement in place, Harris and Mira returned to the Resolute feeling a mix of relief and resolve. They had taken the first step in forging an alliance with Valter, but the road ahead would be fraught with challenges. As they prepared to leave the council chamber, Harris gathered his crew on the bridge. "We've made progress, but we need to remain vigilant. The Zilfar will not sit idly by while we rally support. We must be ready for anything." Mira added, "We should also reach out to the other systems we identified and share our intelligence. We need to create a network of allies." Harris nodded in agreement. "Let's get to work. We have a galaxy to protect and a future to secure." With renewed determination, the crew of the SS Resolute set to work. They were no longer just a cargo ship. They were a beacon of hope and resilience, ready to face the challenges ahead. As they charted their course for the next system, Harris gazed out at the stars beyond the viewport. Each twinkle represented a possibility, a chance for unity and strength in the face of adversity. Together, they would navigate the treacherous waters of galactic politics and forge a coalition that could withstand the storm of the Zilfar's impending attack. They were ready to fight not just for their survival, but for the future of countless worlds across the galaxy. The journey ahead would be difficult, but with each passing moment they were carving a path of hope and determination. As the SS Resolute set its course for the next system, the crew engaged in a flurry of activity, preparing for the challenges that lay ahead. Captain Harris felt a sense of urgency coursing through him. The alliance with Valter was a crucial first step, but they needed to act quickly to solidify their support and expand their network. The crew worked tirelessly to send out communications to the other systems they had identified as potential allies. Each message was carefully crafted to convey not only the threat posed by the Zilfar, but also the Resolute's commitment to mutual defense. Jenna, the communications officer, was at the helm of this operation. She coordinated with the engineering team to ensure their transmissions were secure and encrypted against any potential Zilfar interception. As the ship moved through the stars, Mira and Harris gathered in the command center to discuss their next steps. "We've sent out messages to the systems of Kaldor and Threx," she said, her fingers dancing across the console. "We should hear back from them soon." Harris nodded. "But we can't afford to wait for responses. We need to prepare for the worst-case scenario. If the Zilfar decide to retaliate, we need to be ready." Mira's brow furrowed in thought. "What do you suggest?" "We should conduct drills to ensure that every crew member knows their role in case of an attack. We also need to enhance our defensive systems and prepare our weapons for potential engagement." As they discussed their plans, the ship's alarm suddenly blared. Cutting through the air like a knife, the bridge crew sprang into action. "What's happening?" Harris demanded. Jenna's fingers flew over her console. "We're detecting multiple Zilfar ships entering the system, Captain. They're on an intercept course." Harris felt his heart race. The Zilfar had not wasted any time. They were coming for them. "All hands to battle stations," he shouted as he took his position at the helm. Mira moved swiftly to the tactical station, initiating defensive protocols. The crew moved with precision, each member knowing their role in the impending confrontation. As the Zilfar ships drew closer, Harris studied their formation. They were organized and aggressive, but the Resolute had the advantage of surprise and determination. "Prepare to engage weapons systems," he commanded. Mira's voice was steady as she responded. "Weapons systems online and ready, Captain." Harris glanced at the view screen where the Zilfar vessels loomed larger, their ominous silhouettes stark against the backdrop of stars. They were here to settle the score, and the Resolute was ready to face them. As the first Zilfar ship opened fire, Harris shouted, "Evasive maneuvers." The crew sprang into action, the ship veering sharply to avoid incoming fire. The Resolute's engines roared to life, propelling them into a tactical position. "Return fire," Harris ordered, and Mira unleashed the ship's weaponry. The Resolute's cannons erupted with energy, striking the lead Zilfar ship and causing it to shudder under the impact. The battle intensified as the crew worked seamlessly together. Harris felt a surge of pride for his team. They were not just fighting for their own survival, but for the future of their newfound allies. The Zilfar ships retaliated, their weapons blazing with deadly precision. The Resolute rocked under the force of the blasts, but the crew held firm, their determination unwavering. Harris barked orders as the battle raged on. "We need to split their formation." "Mira, can you target their engines?" "I'm on it," she responded, her fingers flying over the controls. With a deft maneuver, Mira locked onto the nearest Zilfar ship and fired. The shot struck true, disabling the enemy vessel and causing chaos among the Zilfar ranks. Harris seized the moment. "Now's our chance. Let's push forward." The Resolute surged ahead, weaving through the battlefield. As they targeted another Zilfar ship, the crew's focus was palpable, each member fully committed to the fight. As the battle raged, Harris felt a sense of unity among his crew. They were fighting not just as a ship, but as a family united in their purpose. After what felt like an eternity of combat, the tide began to turn. The Zilfar ships, realizing they were outmatched, began to retreat. Harris felt a surge of triumph as the last Zilfar vessel jumped to hyperspace. The crew erupted into cheers, their voices ringing out in celebration. "We did it!" Mira exclaimed, her eyes shining with exhilaration. Harris allowed himself a moment of relief, but he knew they couldn't let their guard down. The Zilfar would regroup and return, and they needed to be ready. "All right, everyone," he said, raising his voice to be heard over the celebration. "Let's assess any damage and ensure our systems are secure. We need to prepare for the next move." As the crew set to work, Harris felt a renewed sense of purpose. They had faced the Zilfar and emerged victorious, but the fight was far from over. Together they would forge ahead, ready